have no problem admitting that I'm a big enough anime fan to the point where great looking artwork is enough to draw me in. While that's true, knowing that some anime games out there are meant to come off as softcore or straight up hardcore porn is enough to keep me away from them. Thankfully, Maiden Cops isn't any of those things. At times, some of the artwork that was meant to come off as sexy/alluring was enough to make me embarrassed to play this out in the open, but it wasn't too bad. In general, one of Maiden Cops' greatest strengths is how visually appealing it was. It's not just because of the art style, but also because of its amusing in-game animations. Maiden Cops tells a pretty simple story, but it helps spice things up with occasional over-the-top lines said by its characters or their reactions. If you're an anime fan, chances are that you're familiar with this. If you're not into anime, it's possible that all this manages to accomplish is turn you away from Maiden Cops and anime-adjacent media in general. Simply put, Maiden Cops is a themed beat-em-up game. What you see is what you get. Some might take that to be a bad thing, but as I've been saying, it being anime-themed is what initially drew me in. It's not reinventing the wheel, but it's not trying to do so, and for what it managed to accomplish, that wasn't necessary. It did a good job showcasing what it had to offer, and I liked that. One of Maiden Cops' main offerings was its artwork. Due to that, it's not at all surprising to see that it featured a good variety of enemy designs. There definitely were enemy types that were meant to come off as alternates to the main ones, but it wasn't bad to the point where they came off as generic bad guys. They each managed to stand out, and that helped spice things up. Maiden Cops offers pretty simple gameplay. As I've been saying, its artwork did the majority of the heavy lifting, but on the bright side, what was offered in the gameplay department left me with no real complaints. It made use of destructible objects found in each level, and that worked to showcase its variety of weapons. They helped out a lot when it came to facing off against a decent number of enemies. At this point, exploding barrels might be considered to be played out by some, but it got the job done, and I'm not complaining about a tried and true feature. Maiden Cops featured normal and hard modes. Initially, I gave hard mode a try because its description gave off the impression that was the recommended way of playing. It led to limited lives and access to a score/leaderboard, but I eventually decided against continuing to play on hard. It's because Maiden Cops ended up being more challenging than I thought it would be. Sometimes I'll rise up to the occasion, but seeing as how I felt that there wasn't a big difference between normal/hard, and I wanted to beat it within a timely manner, I figured, why not? If you actually want to try to get the most out of the game, then hard mode is ideal. It's not only because of how it offers more of a challenge, but also because the replay value is there due to your score eventually being featured on the leaderboard. Speaking of replay value, it's also there in the form of different characters, outfits, and purchasable cheats. I stuck to Priscilla Salamander because her stats made it clear that she was the most well-balanced of the 3 playable characters. The bunny girl appeared to be aimed towards players that prefer faster gameplay, and the cowgirl seemed more appropriate for fans of tank/harder hitting characters. At times I did feel tempted to give either of them a try, seeing as how I was given the choice after I'd run out of lives and wanted to continue. I liked what I experienced from playing as Priscilla Salamander, so even if the other 2 characters were visually appealing, I wanted to stick to what I was familiar with. It's pretty clear that Maiden Cops was made to appeal to anime fans. Knowing how vast anime is, it won't appeal to each and every kind of fan, especially because of occasional fan service. While that's true, its art style and overall visual offerings are great to the point where even if you're not interested in giving Maiden Cops a try, you'll still admit that it's well done. Like I said before, Maiden Cops doesn't reinvent the beat-em-up genre. What it does is offer a solid experience in more ways than one, and for me, that's more than enough for me to recommend it. What are your thoughts on anime games making use of fan service? Do you feel that games should aim towards being innovative? Is artwork enough to convince you to give a game a try? If you enjoyed this content, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, and if you're up for it, buy me a coffee. Thank you very much for watching.